Hello YouTube reloaders. Thanks for watching. Hornady Loader here. My standard disclaimer, I am not an employee of Hornady Manufacturing, nor do I have any interest, financially or otherwise, in the sale of Hornady products. I've been reloading for almost 35 years, and for the last 20 years I've been using Hornady equipment almost exclusively, hence the name Hornady Loader. The Hornady logo is a registered trademark of Hornady Manufacturing, Grand Island, Nebraska. Today's video will be an examination of the Hornady Lock and Load Concentricity Tool. Concentricity Tool uses the same basic frame as the cam lock case trimmer and the neck turn tool, with a few modifications. It's been milled down here at the bottom so that this plate can be mounted. That plate allows adjustment of the cradle, back and forth, depending on the type of bullet that you're using. The cradle on one end holds the dial indicator, which will show the runout of the cartridge that you're measuring. On the other side is the adjustment screw, which allows you to adjust the runout. The spindles have been changed. On the left is the case head spindle, which holds the case head like so. And on the right is the bullet spindle, which has a hole in the end where you would place the tip of the bullet. Now, the concentricity tool comes with 3 bullet spindles with different size holes in the end, small, medium, and large. Depending on the size of the bullet in the cartridge that you're measuring, you would use the appropriate bullet spindle. Cartridge is secured in the concentricity tool by placing the head of the cartridge in the case head spindle and pulling back on the ball knob so that you can place the tip of the bullet into the bullet spindle. Okay. Then you can use the caliper or the dial indicator to measure the runout, and you would use the adjustment tool to adjust the runout. Now, dealing with runout is typically the last step that you take when reloading ammunition. Once the ammunition has been completely reloaded, you would then use the concentricity tool to deal with runout. What is runout? Well, here we have a bullet that's already been seated into a case. Now, ideally, the bullet will be lined up perfectly in the neck. If it is, the bullet and the case are considered to be concentric. Now, depending on the quality of your dies and other factors that can occur during the reloading process, the bullet may be seated at a slight angle. This is called runout. Now imagine this bullet as it exits the case. It may engage the rifling at a slight angle, and that will affect your accuracy. The Hornady Concentricity Tool performs 2 functions. One, it will measure the amount of runout that exists in your reloads and in your factory ammo. You'll find that factory ammo has a bit of runout as well. Secondly, it can reduce or eliminate the runout in your reloads or in your factory ammo. 0.002 or less is considered acceptable, although depending on how serious you are about accuracy, you may want to get that down even less. Okay, here's an overhead view of the Hornady concentration tool. I did this so that you can see the dial a little easier and all the components better than if it were a front view. Now the first thing I need to do in order to set this up for measuring runout is adjust everything properly. Now the first thing I need to do is make sure I've got the right bullet spindle in. Now the spindle that's in there is the small spindle, and the hole in that is just a little bit too small for the 30 caliber. This is a 308 Winchester that I'm going to be measuring. So first thing I need to do is change out the bullet spindle. I'm going to move the case head spindle and the cradle out of the way. To change out the bullet spindle, you unscrew the ball knob on the end. and pull the bullet spindle out through the left side. Now you need to make sure that you get both the spring and the collar out of the tube here. If the collar doesn't come out, you can use a small screwdriver to push it out, and use the spindle itself maybe to pull it a little bit. Make sure you get that collar out of there. Now I've got two other bullet spindles here, a medium and a large. And if I look at the medium one here, it fits the bullet pretty well. It doesn't go in too far. So that's the one I'm going to use for the 308 Winchester. Now I take the spring, put that over the spindle, and then put the collar over that and reinsert it into the frame. Then I screw the ball knob back onto the end of the spindle. Okay. Now that spring gives the bullet spindle a little tension, so I can pull it out and it'll spring back in. Now I'm going to move the cradle back over here, and I'm going to use the O-rings right here at the top to hold this dial caliper arm out. So if I have it down in there, it makes it difficult to get the bullet in to the bullet spindle. So I'm going to pull that out, get it out of the way, and then I'm going to slide the O-rings down against the dial caliper itself, and that'll hold this out of the way for me so I can adjust the spindles. Now the next thing I need to do is adjust the case head spindle to the proper spot. I do that by putting the case head into the end of the spindle, and I'm going to move it to the right until the bullet enters the hole in the end of the bullet spindle. And I'll continue to push that just a little bit until I get about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch clearance here between the ball knob and the frame. And then I'll tighten that up with the case head spindle locking knob. Now what that does is gives me a little tension on the bullet so that it's held securely between the case head spindle and the bullet spindle. Next, I need to adjust the cradle. There's a locking arm right down here. I undo the locking arm so that it'll move freely. And I want to move this to a point right about where the shank of the bullet, the flat edge of it, meets the ogive, which is the curved portion of the bullet. That's right about there. And then I'll tighten the cradle locking knob, and that'll lock the cradle into place. Remove the cartridge. And what I want to do now is adjust these O-rings at the top so that the dial caliper arm comes about halfway or a little less than halfway into the area between the two spindles. So I'm going to just kind of push it down just a little bit. Right about there. So the end of the arm is roughly halfway between the two spindles. And then I'm going to lock that into position, both the O-ring and the caliper, the dial indicator lock knob, which is right here on top. And now I'm ready to start measuring the runout. So I'll put the head of the case in the case head spindle. I'll pull back on the ball knob, and I'll insert the end of the bullet into the hole at the end of the bullet caliper, or bullet spindle. Then, to measure the runout, I'm going to rotate the bullet, or the cartridge, towards me. Now, if the bullet spindle is spinning, that won't work. If it starts spinning on you, just hold it with your right hand so that it doesn't move. Both of these spindles need to be stationary in order for the runout to be measured properly. Now, let me zoom in on the dial. What I want to do is get it to the point where I have the least amount of runout. Now this particular cartridge looks pretty good. There's almost no runout at all. I'm going to zero that and rotate it. And this bullet has almost no runout. So this one is this particular cartridge is almost perfect. Try another cartridge here. Insert it into the case head spindle. Put the bullet in the bullet spindle. And I'll rotate this one. Now this one has a little bit of runout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it down as far counterclockwise as I can get it. I'm going to zero the dial. And then I'm going to rotate it again. And I find this one has about 3/1000ths runout. There's 1/1000th, 2/1000th, 3/1000th. So I want to adjust this cartridge a little bit to eliminate that runout. Like I said earlier, the 2/1000ths is considered acceptable. I try to get it down to 1 or less if I can. Now, the way that you adjust the runout is you rotate it until you get it down to the minimum amount of runout. What this indicates is that the cartridge and the bullet are a little bit cockeyed this way, so that the curve or the runout is up against the adjustment knob, which is down here on the bottom. What I want to do then is I'm going to turn the adjustment knob, and I'm going to get about 30/1000ths on the dial, and then I'll release the adjustment knob. And what that does is it pushes against the bullet right about here, so it kind of brings them back, it brings the bullet and the cartridge or the case back into alignment. And then I do the procedure over again. I'm going to adjust it so that the dial is to the left as far as possible, or counterclockwise. And I'm going to re-zero it. I'll zoom in on the dial here so you can see it. And I'll rotate it again. You can see I've eliminated 2/1000ths of that runout. It's down to right around 1/1000th runout. Now if I really wanted to be particular about it, I could adjust it again. I'm going to get it down to the minimum here. Then I'm going to tighten the adjustment knob. I'll try to get that. I'll go out to about 20-25/1000ths. And then release it. And then I start the process again. Rotate the bullet till I get it down to its minimum value. Zero my indicator. And it's somewhat less than 1/1000th. So I consider that a good amount, a good amount of runout reduced. See if I can get it zeroed properly here. Yeah. So I went from 3/1000ths runout to about 1/1000th. Now let me take another cartridge. Put that in. Now this is factory ammo. These are not my reloads. So you can see the factory ammo does have a little bit of run out. Okay, let me adjust this, get it to the smallest amount possible. Re-zero my dial. Let me zoom in on the dial so you can see it. And I'll rotate it. And this one's about 3.5 thousandths, a little bit more than the other one. There's 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more. So I'm going to get it down to its minimum value here. I'm going to turn the adjustment knob in. Take it up to about 30 thousandths. And then release it. And then we'll start the process again. I'll rotate the cartridge until I get the minimum value I can here. Re-zero the caliper, or the dial indicator. And I've reduced that down to right around 1 thousandths. So, as you can see, the Hornady Concentricity Tool not only measures the concentricity of your cartridges, but it can also eliminate that runout. And that'll be typically the last step that you take in when you do your reloads. I also do it with my factory ammo because obviously factory ammo has a little bit of runout, and I can improve my accuracy of my factory ammo by reducing the runout. And that's really all there is to it. It's very simple to set up, very simple to adjust the runout. Doesn't take long at all to do a box of 50 or a box of 100. Appreciate your watching. Hope maybe you learned something from it. If you like the video, please click the like button. Maybe even subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Happy reloading.